Welcome to the third installation of the painting multicam in 28mm modern. Well, actually this technique can be used in 20mm as well. I used to paint a lot of stuff in 20mm. This is a figure by Elheim. It's one of his outstanding dog handler figures. So, again, the idea behind at least my theory is to trick the eye, and at 20mm you're not going to get, at least I'm not going to put the time in to get the exact details and make it look like a contest winning figure. This is perfect for the gaming table. It touches upon the multicam. When people see it, they can normally tell that, yeah, this is definitely a multicam figure. So I just wanted to show you that this technique that I'm using, that I'm going to show you, can be used in various scales. I just happen to be painting and manufacturing 28mm figures. So here we go. Okay, we're going to talk about the first layer of the multicam camouflage, and we've established a base already with the base uniform. And well, before I start, I highly recommend that you guys have at least really good reference photos of uniforms that you're going to paint, and or have the actual uniform itself. To the left of me off camera, I have a set of multicam uniform that's hanging, that I can just look at and see where the patterns are, see where the lines are, and just paint what I see. It makes it a lot easier for me, and over time, the more you do the multicam, you'll just understand how the paint goes and the lines and the patterns. So now a lot of times guys will paint their uniform, multicam uniform, and they will add a lighter tan, lighter khaki color to their camouflage pattern. I am not doing that. The reason why is that I feel that I've achieved enough highlighted in enough different tones to kind of represent that color is already there somewhere. And in this video, I'm going to show you, basically I use, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors for the multicam, and it achieves the look that I'm wanting, and I don't feel it necessary to use an additional lighter tan color. Some guys do, that's just fine, but that's not what I do. Okay, so we're going to paint the very first color here, because looking at my camouflage pattern, multicam pattern, the first color that looks like it's down, as far as the vertical lines for multicam, is a lighter brown. So what I'm going to use for this color is a mixture of Vallejo model color beige brown and game color terra earth. Now a lot of this is just mixing the colors and seeing what works well. Sometimes I may add a little bit more of the beige brown, that's what I just put down, and then sometimes I'll add a little bit more terra earth. But really, in the end, it's about just kind of mixing the colors together and seeing what that color looks like before I apply it. I am going to add some water as well as a medium. Get this water proper here. I'm going to mix this up. So I'm hoping that this color is going to show up nice on the uniform that we've done so far. The previous video I mentioned to you guys about brushes, and in my opinion the importance of having good brushes. Now I have a handy dandy camouflage brush. It is a Winsor Newton size OT0, and this is its primary use, painting camouflage. That's it. Once I'm done, I put it away, I put it in its nice tube, and I do not use it for anything else. My reasoning behind that is if I'm only using it for camouflage, the tip and the brush itself will last a lot longer. I think this brush I've had for at least 7 months, maybe a little bit longer. So I have multiple Winsor & Newton brushes. I have one just for painting faces and flesh, but this one is for camouflage. Now, let's start with the actual painting here. Okay, so MultiCam, the lines, if you look at the lines, it's vertical. The lines are painted vertical so that you know, it's just kind of just going like this. That's all. So you don't have to put down blotches or anything like that. You know, it's not like just dabs and stuff. This is just light lines. So I've got my paintbrush loaded here. Let's work on the pouch, or the pocket first. So I'm looking at my handy dandy color reference, my uniform up there, and all I'm doing is this. I'm just going to lightly make vertical lines, kind of like reverse L's. That's all this is. Because I'm not worried about super high realistic detail, because I'm just trying to achieve a look, I'm just removing any stress that I have internally and just painting lines. Not putting a lot of pressure down on this at all. Now, it may be hard to see the brown at first, and that's okay. You'll start seeing the MultiCam really pop with the other colors, especially the greens and especially the dark browns. And you'll just see it just, oh, you know, just like, oh my God, it's all come together here. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be really diligent with your lines or anything like that. It's just feeling the flow with the brush, and sometimes you have to go over it a couple times, and that's fine. Again, when you have a really good brush, you've got that control. So it's just like drawing. You're just drawing the lines on. So I'm going to do here. Let's get this front pocket. I apologize if this is coming out of focus. Just the subtleness. Just adding some, you know, darker browns. Okay, I'm going to pause this and finish the rest of this figure in this color so then you guys can see what it looks like when it's done. Okay, I'm back, and basically what I've done is I have applied the first layer of that brown mixture onto the uniform, and I can see through the camera here that the browns are showing up. So I'm hoping you guys can see this brown. One thing that I definitely want to remind you guys, and I see some people do this sometimes, is that when they're painting the arms, such as the sleeve, they may get in the habit of painting the camouflage this way across the arms so that the lines are going vertically. And if you look at the uniform itself, that's not how the lines are. So you want to make sure that, you know, you want to have the figure like this and paint the lines going across this way, because that's how on the fabric, that's how that pattern is. That's just a Tim Analness part here for painting, but it's also a tip that I recommend, that I teach my friends as well. So this is the first brown done. It doesn't look much like much now, but I promise you, as we get more with the other colors, it's going to. The other thing that I reminded myself is when I was painting this is I also did a video on how to paint AOR camouflage that can be used, that same pattern, that same technique can be used for Marpat. And a lot of this the same technique that I'm using now can be used for AOR and Marpat. So, you know, especially Desert Marpat. So I highly recommend, if you guys want to learn how to paint that, at least how I paint it, check out that video. Okay, now on to the green color. This is the green color I use. Gosh, this is kind of this is Reaper Masterclass. This is Shadow Green. This is a nice green color, and it's not too dark. It's not too light. I think it's just pretty good. And for this demonstration, it should show up really nice. So again, I shake it up, put it on my handy dandy palette here, and I remind myself that this container here is actually from an oatmeal container lid, so it works out great. And stir it up really good. Okay. I always do a test first of if I need to make the paint thicker or thinner, just by, yeah, that's good. That's good. Awesome. See this? Here we go. Here's a good example. See this line that I just did? That's all you're doing with this brush. Is you're just kind of making little lines. I don't know if you remember as a kid when you're in preschool or elementary school, you're drawing, and they teach you how to draw birds out in the distance, and you're just taking this and doing that. That's all this is. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to take this figure here. Let's start off with this pocket. Make sure I'm in focus. Now, sometimes if you look at the pattern itself, the green does go over the brown in little parts. Sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to do that here. We're going to start here and do that. And I know I repeat myself, but because I have a good brush with a good tip, it allows me to really do some nice control lines. So I'm just taking this figure, moving it around. I feel that this pattern, you can do a lot of randomness in this pattern up into the point where you use the very, very dark brown and the ivory splotches that we're going to do. That's when it really ties that MultiCam pattern together. It really shows that, yeah, what you've just painted is MultiCam. Hopefully you can see this. Again, I'm not putting a lot of detail, a lot of time in painting this at all. You can't. If you've got a whole squad and you're wanting to get stuff on the table fast, you may not have that luxury. Some guys do. I sure don't. Let's see the front here. Hopefully you can see this. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to paint the rest and show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so this took me maybe 5 minutes to do with the green lines. So you can see slowly, line by line or color by color, the MultiCam pattern is appearing. It's nothing that's really neat. You know, I mean, I try to do neat lines, of course, but really it's a lot of just swirls. And again, that same technique of drawing little birds on paper, it's the same sort of thing. So you can definitely see the colors showing up. I hope you can, at least. Now, a lot of times when something like this feature of this pocket right here, the front pocket right there, I do try to make it even more realistic, because a lot of times that's what you're going to see. Now I do see I missed a spot here of where I'd like to add some green, and I'm going to just do this. It's little dots, that's all, little swirls. And also, if there's a lot of shadow going on, like say the inner part of the leg, that is going to be made darker with the shades and the washes, I'm not really going to kill myself and put a lot of time in it in painting the pattern, because you're not going to see it. It's hidden in the shade, in the shadows. Okay, now sometimes if I see something that I think needs to be a little tightened up a little bit more, I will just kind of tighten up the lines, such as that. Now that might not look that much right now. That might look actually like crap. However, the next parts here, the next colors that we're going to be applying, we will start putting the the importance of what this pattern or this technique does, and how it just all of a sudden transforms it into just a basic pattern uniform to MultiCam. So I'm going to clean off my brush here. Now I'm going to use, for the dark brown lines, I use Vallejo German Cam black brown. This is a great color. It's not black. It's just a good mix of color. I use this in a lot of things here. Okay, stir this up. Now this is where these two colors, this black brown and the ivory, in my opinion, are the two most important colors in this entire scheme. And the reason why is it really ties things together, and it really accentuates that this is MultiCam. I may have gone too thin here, but we'll see. Okay, so let's look at this pocket again. If you look at the MultiCam pattern, you'll see these black lines. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to add a little bit more here. A little too thin. Okay, I've added some more paint here to the dark brown. Let's start working on this pocket. So the black is just going to break this up a little bit. Looking at my uniform for reference here, a lot of this black is kind of like a C shapes. They're kind of like a hook shapes. There we go. That's better. And there's not a lot of black. There's not a lot of the dark brown on the uniform itself, but it is significant enough so that when you do have it, you can definitely tell that that is MultiCam. So I'm going to start doing some dots. Also, you'll see some black dots. this paint is definitely wet, so you can, the gloss or the wetness is definitely showing on the camera itself with the light. Just little dots, little C shapes. So I'm gonna pause the video and paint the rest of this and then show you guys what it looks like after. Okay, so I have finished the dark black on this figure, the black lines, the dark brown lines, and I'm hoping you guys can see what this looks like. It may look like a big mess to you guys at first. The lighting is difficult here with me here. But basically what we've achieved is the all the main colors of the MultiCam prior to the last color that I apply. And I use either an ivory color or a bone white color, which I'm going to use for this tutorial, to start applying the dots, the white dots. And this is kind of like the icing on the cake. What's great about the white dots is if you see something that you don't like I'm not too much of a fan of this area right here, or even the shoulder area here. The white dots can break that up, because if you look at the uniform itself, there are white dots, and they're not really dots, but they're, yeah, the white little splotches are all over, and then they definitely go through. Some of them can go through this pattern right here, and little dots over here, and so on. So very happy with how this looks, this leg's looking right now. And again, this is not even with the final, the icing. Very happy with this. For the most part, I'm very happy with how I've applied the pattern itself in a quick manner. But let's go to the next and the final color of the MultiCam. So I'm going to use Vallejo Game Air Bone White. This is a great color to use for this pattern. And I shouldn't have to, because it's an airbrush color, I shouldn't have to apply any type of thinner medium or water. We'll see. It may actually be too thin, so let's see what this looks like. So I talked about breaking up the pattern with the white dots. And we're going to apply it right here. And you know what, looking at this, I may actually have to use a different color so that so you can see it more, or see it better. Let's go in this pouch right here. Let's see, how's that looking? Yep, I am going to use a different color. And see, this is, a lot of this is trial and error. If you don't like something, just add a different color to it. So I'm going to make this a little bit thicker, and I'm going to use Vallejo Ivory. And I'm going to apply it right into the bone white that I've just put down. Definitely thicker paint. I shouldn't have to dilute it because of the Game Air. This is thin paint anyway. Yeah, that's looking better. Much better. Sometimes you just never know. Okay, let's try it again. So I'm going to go back over the dots that I've applied already. There we go. looking at the pattern that I have here, there is a white line going right here. My brush handle is hitting the camera, so this is a challenge here. It's going all the way down. Like that. So, just gonna try to achieve that look. I'm trying to break this up a little bit. We're here. There we go. And put some more dots here. Okay, I'm going to pause it and finish this and show you the result. Okay, so I have applied all the white dots to the MultiCam uniform and wanted to show you some things that I'm pretty happy with how these legs look here and how they look over here. So in my opinion, I've achieved a base look of MultiCam. Now, the problem that the eye is telling me is that everything looks all blotched together. And it does, because I haven't applied any shades yet to this pattern to break this stuff up. And that's what we're going to do next in the next video, is start applying some shades and some contrast, midtones, to tone down the white dots here, but also build up definition. And then the figure will start really popping up, and you're going to see what the magic of these washes are, the time saving that it can do. But basically, this is the camo pattern. This is a pattern that I've used for years, and it just works. Right now, again, people may say, "Oh, that looks like shit. That just looks like just dots all over the place." Well, I do have the camera pretty close to this figure, so when I'm looking at it with my physical eyes, it does look a little bit different than on the camera. But again, this is it. This is the base. This is what I use for all my, when I'm painting multicam. It's just, you're just not done. This is not the final stages of this pattern. Now is the fun part for me, really, is the build-up of putting some definition on the figure. So next video I'm going to shoot, and we'll go from there.